We have some bad news. ESPN layoffs are coming. We have some great news. No added bowl games for the 2023 football season. And we have an interesting poll result on what game is going to be the first NBC Big Ten primetime game in this new contract, in this new era where NBC is a media partner of the Big Ten. Welcome to episode 195 of College Football's Peek Around the Corner with your host, Greg Pflugar. We cover everything about college football because we love everything about college football. And if you do as well, please subscribe to our ever-growing channel. Smash that like button if you like our content. Share the video with your family and friends. Let's first get through the bad news. We know this has been coming. We know this has been a coming. The reality starting to hit. Front Office Sports article yesterday by Michael McCarthy. ESPN layoffs coming down next week. On-air talents with expiring deals are most vulnerable. Layoffs are part of a broader Disney cost-cutting strategy. And we'll be going through just a part of this article and how it affects college football. The agonizing wait is almost over. Walt Disney's company ESPN could order sweeping layoffs as early as next week, according to CNBC. The long-awaited job cuts will impact both on-air talent and management at ESPN's corporate campus in Bristol, Connecticut, reported by CNBC's Alex Sherman. The downsizing is expected before Disney reports earnings on May 10th. So this is going to happen beginning next week, all the way up until May 10th. The downsizing is expected before Disney reports earnings on May 10th. The painful round of pink slips has been expected at ESPN since returning Disney Chief Executive Officer Bob Iger vowed to slash 7,000 jobs and to cut $5.5 billion in costs. Timing is everything. According to sources, the most vulnerable on-air talent are those with expiring contracts or only a year left on their deals. ESPN could buy out some deals and not renew others. This is really going to impact people with expiring contracts, warned one source. ESPN is increasingly adopting a take-it-or-leave-it negotiation posture, said sources. Some talents may be offered as much as a 50% pay cut, according to Andrew Michon of the New York Post. I do think they're going to go to some other people who make big numbers and say, well, you can stay, but we're going to cut you in half, he said on his sports media podcast, Andrew Michon. People are going to have to make decisions. Going to have to make decisions to make on that. They might end up just leaving and getting paid their full contract. This is a difficult moment for Disney and ESPN. The cutbacks come as the worldwide leader in sports prepares to defend its 21-year business relationship with the NBA. The NBA will seek a combined $50 billion to $75 billion for its next long-term cycled media rights. Bad news for ESPN. A lot of good people are going to be losing their jobs or getting half their salary as they've been receiving from ESPN. Not good news. And how that affects college football? Well, during the Pac-12 meeting negotiations, we know the saga that's been going on. All that is baked in. ESPN knew they were going to do this cost-cutting program. So I don't think that really changes much what's going on in the Pac-12. Pac-12 was lowballed by ESPN. ESPN is not moving off that number. In this article, it talked about how ESPN's negotiation posture with their employees is take it or leave it. They're doing the same thing with the Pac-12. That lowball offer that the ESPN gave the Pac-12, it's basically take it or leave it. This is an indication. This article is another reminder of it's not going to get easier for the Pac-12. The sooner they get a media deal done, the better. It's not going to get better for them in a couple months from now. So it's time for George Kliavkoff to cut the best deal possible right now. ESPN is a crucial part of Pac-12's future. According to Arizona State, our source at Arizona State, ESPN really needs to be part of the deal or the conference will implode. Let's get to the great news. Now that we've gotten through some bad news, Lots of good people losing lots of good jobs. No new bowl games will be added this season. Bowl executive director says. This is released this morning by Ross Dellinger of Sports Illustrated. No new bowl games. I love bowl games. We love bowl games that peek around the corner. But man, oh man, we don't need any more. To the article. After review of the bowl system this spring, college leaders decided against approving any new bowl games. Hallelujah. While also keeping the eligibility standard of a 6-6 record. Hallelujah. Bowl executives were told at their annual conference this week in Nashville. Though there was some interest in creating new bowl games, officials decided to keep the bowl lineup at 41, despite conversations about increasing the postseason eligibility standard to 7 and 5, potentially eliminating some bowls. The 6-6 mark will continue. Bowl season executive Nick Caparella confirmed to Sports Illustrated. We had lengthy discussions with 10 conference offices as well as the NCAA football competition committee about the bowl eligibility criteria. It was unanimous that we maintain a 6-6 as the bowl eligible standard. New bowls would be approved in the future, but it appears unlikely in the current environment. Thank goodness. Thank goodness. There's way more to the story. We'll provide a link in the description below. No new added bowl games. We're keeping it 6-6 as the standard for eligibility to get into a bowl game. If there's not enough teams that can fill the bowl slots at 6-6, they'll go down to some 5-7 teams, depending on their APR. But this is great news. I love bowl games. They've declined in importance, but I love everything about college football. But I love bowl games, but there's a certain limit to how many we can handle here at PATC. Now let's get to the interesting poll I put up on Twitter last night. Oh no, 2 nights ago. Excuse me. What is going to be the first Big Ten football game played on NBC prime time in accordance to their new media package with NBC? There's only a few real candidates out there. Could it be the Minnesota Golden Gophers playing at home against Nebraska August 31st, Thursday night? Now, most of those NBC games, primetime Big Ten games, are going to be being played on a Saturday. Some are not, though. There is room that some will not be played on Saturday. They'll be played on like a Thursday night. Could that game be played on NBC? The first Big Ten primetime game on NBC, Thursday night, Nebraska at Minnesota, or we have another Big Ten matchup in week 1. Ohio State Buckeyes at Indiana. Could that be the NBC primetime Big Ten game? The very first one? Or the West Virginia Mountaineers are visiting Penn State. Happy Valley Nittany Lions Mountaineers. Could that be the first ever NBC Big Ten primetime game in this new media package that's starting here in 2023? Here's the poll result. I put up those 3 options and other: Ohio State at Indiana, West Virginia at Penn State, Nebraska at Minnesota. And number 1 out of 660 votes, West Virginia at Penn State. 46.2% of the people who voted said this will be the first NBC Big Ten primetime game. Ohio State, Indiana was 23.5%. Nebraska at Minnesota, 23%. Other was 7.3%. West Virginia, Penn State. That's who the voters believe will be the first Big Ten NBC game. Of course, that NBC game has to be played at a Big Ten stadium. Penn State, West Virginia, Penn State. What do you think? Did the voters have it correct? Did the voters have it correct? West Virginia, Penn State, first Big Ten NBC game. Put down your comments and thoughts in the comment section below the video, and also discuss the ESPN layoffs, the impact that has, and the Pac-12 meeting negotiations, and in college football. In the bowl games, no added bowl games. Come on. We all have to agree on that's fantastic news. Correct? Until next time, from all of us at PATC to all of you, please, you all take great care of each other. Thank you so very much.